Far beyond the busy highways and blinking city lights, there lay a rugged highland village where the wind carried stories of old and shadows moved with purpose. Life here wasn't gentle, it was raw, wild, and carved by struggle. Yet in this harsh place lived an unlikely friendship between Blitz, a sharp-eyed shepherd dog, and Arix, a retired mountain stallion. With a coat faded like winter ashes, Blitz was young, fierce, and loyal to his owner, a stern farmer named Dalon. Every night, he sprinted across the rocky yard, chasing echoes, guarding the land with unmatched devotion. His paws were fast, his spirit faster, a creature born to protect. Arix, however, was different. Once a warrior's horse, he had carried soldiers through storms of steel and fire. Now, he spent his days pulling heavy carts and his nights staring at the distant peaks, remembering glories that time had quietly stolen. Every dusk, when the sky burned red like embers, Blitz would trot toward the wooden fence where Arix stood silently. They'd share a brief moment, a nod, a glance, a story unspoken. One evening, Blitz lifted his head proudly. "Humans are our purpose, Arix. They fight for us, care for us. I owe my life to Dalon." Arix released a weary breath. "You are young, Blitz. Young enough to believe promises don't break." Blitz narrowed his eyes. "You think humans forget?" The old stallion looked toward the mountains, scars visible beneath his fur. "I once carried a warrior through fire. He called me brother, until the day my legs trembled. Then he sold me without looking back." The wind froze. Blitz felt something twist inside his chest, disbelief mixed with fear. He wanted to argue. He wanted to trust. But Arix's voice carried a truth the mountains themselves could not hide. Days slipped by, but Arix's words clung to Blitz's mind like a shadow he couldn't outrun. He continued guarding the farm, barking at strangers, chasing off wild animals. But now he watched everything with new eyes. He noticed how Dalon kicked the old cart ox when it walked too slowly, how a neighbor tied his aging goat outside in freezing winds, how a trader laughed as he sold his old mule for a few coins. The world hadn't changed, Blitz had. One night, winter arrived without warning. The mountains snarled with thunder, and the earth trembled beneath the storm's fury. Rain slashed across the village like thrown stones. Trees bent, roofs groaned, and lightning ripped the sky apart. Inside the stables, Arix stood chained beside a broken window. Water streamed in, turning the dirt into a rising pool of mud. His legs trembled, not from fear, but from the weight of age. Then a sharp crack tore through the storm. The old roof beams split. Arix flinched, trapped, helpless, blitzed outside in the storm, saw the barn door shaking violently. He barked, desperate, calling for Dalon. But the farmer, tired and annoyed, yelled from inside the house, "Quiet, Blitz. Not tonight." He shut the window, but Blitz didn't move. Not this time. Not after everything Arix had told him. Lightning flashed and Blitz sprinted into the storm. The wind slammed against him. Mud splashed into his eyes. But he pushed through, skidding into the barn where Arix struggled, the water rising to his knees. "Blitz. Leave!" Arix shouted through the storm. "You'll drown," Blitz growled, shaking his head fiercely. "You once believed in someone who forgot you. I won't be that someone." He lunged toward the rope, biting, tearing, cutting his gums open. Each pull was a scream of pain, but he didn't stop. He couldn't. Another thunderstrike. Another roof crack. Time was running out, and Blitz refused to let fate take Arix. It's the way humans once had. The barn shook like a wounded beast as the storm roared above it. Water kept rising, swirling around Arix's trembling legs. Blitz's teeth slipped on the soaked rope, his gums bleeding, breath shaking, but he kept pulling, again and again, refusing to surrender. Arix watched the young dog struggle, eyes wide with fear. "Blitz, stop. You don't owe me anything." Another bolt of lightning split the sky, illuminating the barn in a white flash. Blitz snarled against the rope, blood mixing with rainwater. "Maybe I don't owe you." He pulled harder. But loyalty isn't debt. A final bite, the last knot tore apart. The rope snapped. Arix stumbled forward, free for the first time in years. He pushed through the flooded stall, but before he could reach the exit, a deafening crack echoed above them. The roof beam collapsed. Blitz leaped without thinking, shoving Arix out of the way. The beam crashed onto Blitz's back, pinning him under splintered wood and hay. Arix's heart dropped. The mighty stallion lunged toward the beam, pushing with every ounce of strength left in his old body. The beam didn't move. He tried again, harder, hooves scraping, legs shaking, breath breaking. But Arix did not leave. He stood over Blitz, shielding him from falling debris, from the rain, from the cold, using his own body as a wall. Hours passed. The storm raged, and the two endured it together. When dawn finally broke, the world lay silent under a pale, exhausted sky. Dalon sprinted toward the barn, shouting Blitz's name. But when he reached inside, he froze at the sight, Blitz half-buried but alive. Arix standing over him like a guardian carved from stone, both covered in mud, bruises, and sacrifice. Dalon's knees hit the ground. He touched Blitz's head with trembling hands. Why? Why would you risk your life, boy? His voice cracked. Not from fear, but from guilt. Something inside him collapsed, louder than the storm out itself. Dalon's breath trembled as the truth settled heavy on his chest. Blitz the dog, he yelled at, ignored, and often took for granted, had nearly died saving someone he barely knew. And Arix, the old stallion he had treated like a tool, had stood guard the entire night, refusing to abandon the young life beneath him for the first time in years. Dalon felt small. He rushed to clear the broken beam, lifting piece after piece until Blitz whimpered softly and Arix stepped aside, exhausted. Dalon cradled the wounded dog in his arms, mud mixed with tears on his face. I'm sorry. I forgot what loyalty looks like. Those words broke something open, not in Blitz or Arix, but in the man himself. Over the next days, the village witnessed a version of Dalon they had never seen. He cleaned Arix's wounds with his own hands, speaking softly to him, as if trying to mend years of silence. He built a warm shelter, repaired the barn, and carried Blitz inside the house, laying him by the fireplace on a blanket stitched with care. As Blitz slowly recovered, limping but hopeful, Dalon began changing more than just his own ways. He visited neighbors, helping rebuild roofs torn by the storm. He shared grain with families who struggled, fed stray animals wandering the streets, and spoke gently to children about kindness. Some villagers mocked him. The storm softened him too much. But others quietly followed his lead. A farmer removed the chains from his old dog. A shepherd stopped beating his tired sheep. A widow rescued an abandoned mule and gave it a home. One act of loyalty had spread like dawn light over cold mountains. Arix and Blitz watched the sunrise together every morning. Two souls who had survived not just a storm, but a world that often forgets how to feel. And beside them stood Dalon, not as a master, but as someone still learning how to be human again. Because humanity isn't in our strength. It's in the hearts we choose not to abandon. Some lessons aren't found in books. They're hidden in moments just like this one. Carry this thought with you. And if you felt something in this story, don't forget to like and subscribe. It not only helps me stay motivated, but also spreads more stories that touch hearts and teach lessons.